Okay, so before modeling our door leaf, we need to just finish off this door trim here, you can see. So if we leave it like that within the project, you're going to see this exposed face of the wall, which will look terrible. So let's sort that out. Go into elevation view and we'll go sweep. And I want to do exactly what you did before with picking these lines here, blocking them off. 1, 2, 3, trim them. And then align from this ref plane to these points here. There we go, we've got our sweep line. And now if we go into a plan view, we know that this is the point here for the sweep. So we want to do edit profile. And we can do pick lines. We want to pick that one. That one. That one. You can also click lock to lock it automatically like that. And then with trimming, it's just about picking the right one in the right order. So pick that one, then this one, then that one. Okay, and so if we wanted to make this door an exterior opening door, then we're going to have a little ledge here that sort of stops the door swing. So let's create that. So I'm just going to come out about 30 now, and then go out about 30. Yeah. Okay, then you can split that line and then trim it. Okay, maybe I'll have a bit shallower, actually 20. And then to make sure that this actually moves parametrically, we can do dimensions from here to these reference planes and lock them off. And we also got to account for the thickness of the wall changing. So really we want to dimension from this reference plane to here and lock that off. And then the same for here and lock it off. So these lines are going to be sorted out because they are linked to these lines, which are going to move with the door swing. So let's click the tick and then see what happens. So yeah, that's pretty much what we want to happen. And if we go in 3D view, you can see there that the door is lined, and it's always a good idea to check and just make sure that it's doing what you want it to. So let's go into the family types dialog and change this to 2500, for example, and you can see that it's moving with it, and then 950 width, and it's moving. And then one final check, we'll change the wall thickness. Okay, so we're going to set up our door leaf so that it can actually rotate. But there's a couple of things you need to do in order to set that up and make that happen. So we want to create a reference plane here, and this is going to be the hinge point of the door. And I'm going to use that point there. So I'm actually going to bring it in just a little bit, a couple of millimeters, and then I'm going to constrain that dimension to that line there. Okay, so you can just imagine a hinge at that point, and door leaf is going to come out here. So we need to create a reference line, and we're going to do a snap intersection here. So you can see there it's picking up that intersection, and just going to bring it out at any angle. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so Revit has got a bit of a funny thing where it doesn't like things rotating to 0 degrees. So we're not going to base our line from here. We're actually going to do it from here. So when the door's closed, it's going to be 90 degrees, and when it's open, it's going to be 180. That makes sense. So we're going to go to dimensions, and we're going to do an angular dimension. We'll pick up that line there and do that one there. And select that angle there and create a parameter, and we're going to call that swing control. We'll make that an instance and click OK. So you want to make sure that this line here is actually locked off to these points and doesn't move about. So what we'll do is we'll actually just change the wall thickness and see what happens. So you can see there it moves with it, and we'll just change the door thickness or the door width as well, and make sure that it moves the way we want it to. Yeah, that's that. Cool. And then let's change the swing control and then make sure that is working as it should. Okay, perfect. Now we want to go into a new family. So I've got a quick quick key NF for that, and we'll go down to metric, generic model, and it needs to be a face-based model. Okay, so just to create your simple leaf, we're going to create 2 vertical lines, 2 horizontals. I would select all of those and make them a strong reference. Yeah, and then we just do dimension from here to the middle to here, make them equal, and then that's going to be your door height, and then the same here with these dimensions equal, and then again, that one that's going to be your door width. Now, the reason we do that is to keep it around the center line here so that it doesn't move in a way that we don't want it to. We're going to select this dimension here, create a parameter and call it leaf width and make that an instance parameter. And we're going to do exactly the same here with this dimension. Select that one, create a parameter and call it leaf height and make that an instance. And we can go to the front view here, and we imagining that this line here, or this face, is actually that reference line that created. So this is going to come out from that reference plane by the thickness of the door leaf, which in this case is going to be 40 mil. But you could also create a parameter for that if you wanted to. But I'm just going to lock it off because I'm not going to have that as a variable. Okay, so let's go then and create extrusion, pick lines, select these extents lines here, trim it, and then click the tick, and then we go into the front view and we need to lock it off in terms of the thickness. So we want to drag it to the surface until it highlights blue and then lock it, and then the same with this reference plane here. So we know that we can change the width, we can change the height, but this thickness is going to stay the same because we've got it locked. Okay, simple as. Okay, to build up a little bit more complexity in our door, because at the moment it's just a plain timbered door, we'll go into our ref plane and I'm going to create some more additional reference planes here. And these are going to simulate a panel type door where you got maybe 4 panels and a type of dado trunking going around it. Okay, and then we can dimension this to be, really I want these to be the same. So go for quite a traditional door here. More reference plane here. And then the same. Okay, and I'm going to make all of these the same. So you can just select all of them and create parameter and call it, well, maybe 1. Okay, then I come in here and just change it to 50. Maybe a bit more. 75. Let's go with that. Okay, that's cool. Right. Okay, so in order to create these panels and to have a bit more depth and interesting sort of detail in our door, let's edit this extrusion. And I'm going to pick these lines here, like that, and I'm going to trim them. So these lines are picked up in multiple locations, so you need to split them. So you split it in the middle there, like that, and you can just trim it. Oh, so that one needs to be trimmed or split as well. Trim. Same there. Okay, and I need to select that one again. Trim. Pretty repetitive stuff. Split and trim. Basically just repeat Okay, so the reason we did all the reference planes is so that it stays parametric. If this leaf size change, it goes with it. Then we're going to create these middle panels that go in here, but we want to define their thickness. So I'm going to go into a front view here and just set 2 reference planes. This one is going to be 10 millimeters from here. The top one, lock that off. And then this one is going to be 10 millimeters from here. There we go. And lock that off. Back into our ref level, I wanted to create extrusion, do PEC lines, but just of these top 2 boxes. That's because I want to have the variability to be able to do, say, have the top ones as glazing and the bottom ones as wood, for example. And to finish these off, again, we just need to split these and then trim them. Okay, and then we need to go into elevation view and then drag them to hit those new reference lines that we created and lock it off. We're going to do exactly the same with that. So I showed you one way of doing it where you can, again, select those reference planes. But if you want, you can do it another way where you do an extrusion, you pick lines, and you can actually pick up the edge of this extrusion. So if you do tab select, it picks up the edge of that extrusion, which is obviously a quicker way of doing it. And then again, go into front view, and we want to just drag that to hit those same reference plates. Okay, then we're going to build in a little bit of variability here in terms of their finishes. So select the top panels there, come over to the material and click the gray rectangle and call it top panel finish. Click instance. Okay, and then the same here with the bottom. Create a new parameter, bottom panel fin, and make that instance. Now, as I always say, it's good to test it every single time because you don't want to get to a stage where you don't know what's wrong with your family that you've created. So all families have got problems, but don't really want it in this one. So change the width. Yeah, that does as we want it to. And then change the height. Change the height to 1950, for example. And yeah, that's fine. Okay, now if we go to a sweep, I'm going to sketch path and I'm going to pick the outside of the extrusion, make sure they're locked off, and click tick. And then I'm going to beading profile. Now to see if this is actually orientated the way you want it to, we'll go to the left-hand view. Okay, and you see there it's not quite the way we want it to be. I always get a bit confused with these. So change 180. That, not happening for me. 10. Don't know what I'm doing. I think that's correct. Cool. Okay, so I saved you that painful repetition. I've done all of these trims and they all work as expected. So it's basically just the exact same thing over and over again. So pretty painful stuff. So what I want to do now is I want to go into family types. So we're just going to call this door leaf and click OK and click apply. Now we're going to load this into the main family. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to call it something crazy like door leaf. Click save. And then we're going to load it in. Okay, so at the moment, it's obviously not going to work very well like that. So we actually want to place it on a plane here. So we come over here and go placement plane and we click pick. And what we're going to do is pick a plane. And we want to cycle till we see that plane there. Now it's going to ask you to place it, and this doesn't really matter, but you can see there that the swing, so it doesn't really matter, but you can see there the door leaf is now stuck on that plane like that. That's what you want. Okay. Okay, so at the moment, there's nothing really stopping that from flying off into oblivion. What we're going to do is create another little reference line here and actually snap, and that's going to constrain the end of this door so it stays in place. We go another reference line, and we want to do snap intersection, so we can do SI for short. We're going to pull that out 90 degrees. So at the moment, it's 90 degrees to that anyway, but we can just do an angle dimension here and just lock it off just to make sure. And again, I would just test it, make sure that it does what we want it to. Yeah, so that moves, and the door swings. Hallelujah. Now we can use the align tool to align that to the end of the door. Now at the moment, this door is too much, it's too big. So we can actually set parameters to control this leaf size, and that can be based on the size of this door. Pretty simple stuff, actually. So if you go to leaf width here, so there's a parameter we created earlier within the leaf width, and you can click this here, and I'm just going to call it exactly the same thing. So leaf width. Make it a type and click OK. And then for the height, going to do exactly the same thing, but call it leaf height. Click type and click OK. OK. Now, at the moment, absolutely nothing has happened. But that's because we need to put a little formula in. So if we know that our door width at the moment is 1100, and we are coming in 13 mil from there, so we want the same opposite there, so we want 26 mil. So basically, we want our door leaf to be our width minus 26 mil. Okay, and I'm going to apply the same sort of thinking with the height as well, just to make it nice and easy. So you come over to your family types here, and under your leaf height, all you need to do is just copy that height, or just type it in here in the formula, height minus 26. And then for your leaf width, we're going to do the same, but we'll do width minus 26. So that means that no matter what dimension we change the door to, that the leaf height and width are going to go with it. Okay. And we can even change that to 90 degrees and make sure that closes nicely. Let's try that out. 90 degrees. Boom. So you can see here, it's kind of on the wrong side of that plane. So to fix that, you can just use this little flippy gadget thing here. And like that. Nice. Happy with that?